It's the new slot. Are we still calling it new? I don't know if we are, but everyone in the comments for the next while, for the next maybe 5-10 minutes, however long we decide to take this, if you've anything negative to say, just don't bother saying it.
3 or 4 minutes.
3 or 4 minutes. I've got a minute on each topic, do I? Fill this slot with praise so we can keep it going. So I have reasons in production meetings to say, see, those 3 people said something nice about it, Adrian. So I know this doesn't make you feel good, Adrian, to kind of have some positive stories on a Friday. I know it's tough heading into a weekend to look at the world with a glimmer of positivity, but that's what I'm going to do, folks. I'm going to bring some nice stories. They're not always nice stories, but most of them tend to be. We're heading first on Around the World this week to Miami, Florida, United States of America. This is a bit of a nice story. So there was a young fan from Argentina who was left devastated. I know, Adrian, you were watching the basketball last week. Jimmy Butler, a name for all the Irish fans of the NBA who'll be familiar with him. He was supposed to be playing in a match on Tuesday night, and this young fan had flown 4,405 miles, as his poster said. The Heat were taking on the Boston Celtics. This was on Tuesday night, and Jimmy Butler was ruled a late scratch due to a back injury. He couldn't play. As you can imagine, the kid who had travelled all the way to just see his hero Jimmy Butler play was left devastated. So we have a clip here from NBA on TNT that highlights just how sad this young lad was at finding out that Jimmy Butler couldn't play.
On the internet right now, he finds out that his favorite player, Jimmy Butler, not going to play. His sister, they're both from Argentina. You could tell they're crushed. Well, there's 2 silver linings. Number 1, this is the power of TNT Tuesdays.
Yes, it is.
Got him down there on the court, met Gabe Vincent, got some gifts. Thank you for the gifts. And Jamal, you have talked to Jimmy Butler.
I talked to Jimmy Butler. Obviously, he's really, really sick, and he couldn't make it to the game. He was watching the game on TNT, and he saw the kid, and he felt really, really bad. So he has the kid's information, and let's just say the kid will be even happier than he would have if he played. So I'm really, really excited. That's the Jimmy Butler I know.
Yeah. I mean, so he gets down to the courtside. He gets his little few bits of memorabilia and merchandise. So you're thinking, no, this is quite nice. He's flown all the way from Argentina, not completely for naught. Himself and his sister get the jersey, get the basketball. Jamal Crawford saying that Butler had a surprise for the child as well. So we weren't sure what that other surprise would be. No, he actually saw a brilliant game. So the NBA All-Star, Bam Adebayo, had 30 points and 14 rebounds. Look at that photo. This is the following day. Jimmy Butler meets the kid on the Wednesday, the day after the match, and he surprises him on court and made it up to him. So this child's name is Felipe. Not only, look at him, he's getting a tour of the Heat facilities with his sister, and his entire family were there as well. Some lovely moments. Jimmy Butler, his hero. They say, Adrian, always, what is the phrase? Don't always meet your heroes, because you could be left disappointed. I don't know who your sporting hero was growing up. I had a moment similar to Felipe there, where I, outside Healy Park in Oma, met Michael Donnellan, the former Galway player, who was playing for my dad's club, Dunmore McHills, and I just idolised the man. And I remember meeting him outside the team bus and getting an autograph and a photo and all the rest, and being completely overawed, similar to how young Felipe was there. Sometimes you meet your heroes and I think you're left disappointed. I don't have many examples of that. Roy Keane was one where completely point blank ignored me when I was about 7 or 8 at the United game over in Old Trafford in 2001. Have you had any instances of that where you were either left overjoyed or completely disappointed by meeting a hero?
Not really. Like, it's not that I'm entirely joyless, but I don't tend to.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah. Not really, to be honest. I don't have anything. I remember going to Everton play at Athlone Town when I was a kid, and I was an Everton fan at that time. And I remember going to the game. Neville Southall played. Kevin Sheedy was there. It was Tony Cotty, unbelievable team at that time. Not so much now. And getting loads of autographs and stuff. Positive sort of experience about it. It does strike me that kid is going to kick off a spate. You can be absolutely certain of people,
sign holding
kids going to games now where they know a player is probably not going to be involved with like I can't wait to see X at the game today, and then for them not to turn up. But lo and behold, we're going to give you all these jerseys. And slightly cynical view, but
a little bit cynical, but understandable. The Everton fandom stopped then?
Yeah.
Over time, just naturally.
Yeah, I just stopped supporting any of them because it was just
fickle to you.
Well, it just, I understood at a certain point that it meant nothing to me, and I was just doing it because my mates were doing it, and I would watch any game of football at any time. I just have no affiliation.
Okay, that's fair. No, but I think that the overall point I was trying to make with that piece is, do meet your heroes. Don't be afraid to meet your heroes. And he saw a great game. Miami were 10 points down in the fourth quarter, 15-0, and in that run late in that fourth quarter to win and beat the Boston Celtics 98-95. So Felipe was a good luck charm in the end as well. And he got to meet Jimmy Butler. That's the first story, a positive story. Let us know in the comments. Have you ever met your hero, your sporting hero? Have you been left disappointed? Have you been left absolutely over the moon? Just a thought. Our next story in Around the World this morning, on this Friday morning with myself and Adrian, is heading to Melbourne, Australia. Bit of a strange one. Novak Djokovic's father being filmed. So you'll see the photo on screen there. That are a number of fans in the crowd at the Australian Open in Melbourne, and the gentleman in the black t-shirt with the white Z painted in front of it, which is quite clearly a symbol supporting Russia's invasion of Ukraine. That symbol is on a lot of the Russian tanks that have invaded Ukraine as well. It's a bit of a mad one, because this photo here has been doing the rounds. It's not very clear, but again, another person with a black Z t-shirt, clearly a pro-Russian t-shirt. It was a pro-Russian demonstration in Melbourne near the Australian, and the gentleman on the left, that is Novak Djokovic's father. So this is the reason why this is kind of doing the rounds. There's all these Russian flags. There's flags bearing the image of Vladimir Putin as well. The Ukraine ambassador calling all this a disgrace. Djokovic had just booked his place in the tournament semi-final with a thumping of Andrei Rublev at Rod Laver Arena. This was on Wednesday night. Then after the match, this group of fans unfurling the Russian flags, which are banned, by the way, at Melbourne Park, near the stadium, chanting pro-Russian chants, pro-Putin chants as well. Tennis Australia saying 4 people, quote, revealed inappropriate flags and symbols and threatened security guards. Police were called. They were ejected from Melbourne Park. And then video later posted to a pro-Russian Australian YouTube account showed Djokovic's father, as we saw there from the screen grab, his father Serjan posing with a man holding that Russian flag bearing President Putin's image. He also has the black t-shirt, as I said, with the Z on it. The video caption, Novak Djokovic's father makes bold political statement. Serbian tennis reporters confirming that man on the left was Djokovic's father. The Melbourne Age newspaper reporting he said in Serbian, quote, long live Russia. Spectators, as we say, banned from having Russian or Belarusian flags at the Grand Slam. This was, of course, after the Ukraine ambassador to Australia and New Zealand demanded action when they were seen among the crowd last week. Russian embassy heading back as well. And look, all these flags just leave a bad taste in the mouth. There's a Ukrainian player as well, Lesia Tsurenko, who was defeated in the first round, who tweeted, no words to say. A lot of the players have hit back as well. Ukrainian former player Alex Dolgopolov, currently fighting in the war, asked on Twitter, this guy will get banned for life, at least for all Australian events, right? And tagged at Australian Open as well. And there are people of the other persuasion. Simeon Boykov, who runs the YouTube channel, who posted the footage, has urged Russian supporters to descend on Melbourne Park to protest the flag ban. He says, this is about honour and dignity now. This is an attack on honour and dignity. This has got nothing with the war. The Russian Empire has had its flag banned. Well, guess what, Tennis Australia? Good luck when the Empire strikes back. Bit of a Star Wars reference there from the gentleman. And Tennis Australia saying on Thursday it would continue to work with security to enforce entry rules, without really saying they were going to directly address the incident involving Djokovic's father. Look, should be said, this has nothing to do with Novak. It's his father, of course, who's involved in this incident. But certainly left a bad taste in the mouth.
So the positive stories have taken a slight
tangent,
detour.
Well, sometimes it's a story that we probably and possibly should have covered during the show during the week, and maybe bypassed it for time reasons.
The stories nobody had time to cover. Slot.
I think a lot of people would acknowledge that was a story worth covering.
I think it's certainly worth pointing out. By the way, just a piece of news that is coming through in the last little while from French rugby. Vice Chairman Bernard Laporte has resigned as president of the French Football Association. He's obviously facing corruption charges and separately been questioned in relation to tax fraud. He did step aside from his position at World Rugby in recent weeks as well, but that's just a bit of breaking news from France.
Adrian getting involved in Around the World.
No, that's an actual story that's worth reporting.
Taking us to France and Around the World. Thank you, Adrian, for that detour. We've got 5 stories today, and Adrian's brought us the third one by surprise. We're heading now to Africa, to Cameroon, on Around the World. Cameroon sealed its qualification for the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations Under-17s tournament. They beat the Republic of Congo 2-0 12 days ago. But the squad which won that match, unrecognisable from the one initially selected for the event, because 21 of the 30-man original group were disqualified for failing age eligibility tests. Now, how did they find out their ages? Well, it's not quite as simple. It's, in some countries in Africa, like Cameroon, the birth cert system is a little bit rudimentary. They're heading towards using digital certs now. But they've done MRI scans to determine bone age and then ejected 21 of the 30 players from the squad. 11 of the replacements drafted into the squad then also failed age tests because they were deemed too old to play in the qualifiers. So Samuel Eto'o, who's the president of the Cameroon Football Association at this stage, he had decided to introduce these age tests. And look, we can understand why some of these players decide to lie about their age. They rely on football. A lot of them come from poor families and poor backgrounds. They need the money. They want to reduce their ages so they can play for longer periods in the game and make more money. It's not a new phenomenon. This has happened before, Adrian. Alf Ramsey, the manager, led England to its solitary World Cup in 1966. He changed his date of birth. The Morning Star reporting it was so he could get a professional contract as a player after World War II. Brazilian Carlos Alberto, he was 25 when he won the FIFA World Youth Championship with Brazil. Not that Carlos Alberto, by the way. This was in 2003. That was a tournament for players under the age of 20, and it turned out afterwards he was 25. He wasn't just over the age group, he was well over it. He says it was a chance for me to make a living. I was hungry. And famously, or infamously, former Newcastle and current Marseille and DRC defender Chancel Mbemba was probed by the world governing body FIFA for allegedly having 4 different birthdays. In an interview with the Mirror, he claimed to take bone tests to verify his own age and was eventually ruled to be born on the day that he claimed by FIFA's disciplinary committee. It is an aspect of cheating in some ways. The record keeping, as I said, Malawi as well have recently carried out tests on its own players ahead of its qualifiers, had to expel some from the squad. That was from but I was curious here as to how do they know from the bone tests what age people are, and the science here is actually fascinating. So as a way of verifying a player's age, the Confederation of African Football, CAF, adopted the use of MRI scans. So the scan scans a player's wrist, examining the growth plate before grading it from 1 to 6, Adrian. Don't fall asleep just yet. Grade 6 means a player's growth plate is completely fused to the bone, which typically happens around the age of 18 or 19. However, some committees explain this MRI method is not an assessment of someone's exact age. It's
no,
not.
You haven't suddenly wandered onto Lyric FM.
Stay with me.
We're still with you.
Stay with me. The bone fuses at age 18 and 19, but it's not cast in stone. It is still possible for players who are over the age of 17 to pass as eligible to play. The scan works for boys only, as the wrist growth plate development is different to that of girls.
I have to say, I don't think this is ever going to reach such depths. I would hope it would never reach such depths as that. Amazing explanation.
It's exciting, isn't it?
Wow.
See, you mustn't have liked science or biology in school, Adrian, did you?
Well, at least when I stepped into the classroom, I knew that I wasn't there for entertainment, and had similar sort of feelings about this lot, Shane.
If someone wants to let me know in the comments that you found the bone density scans and MRIs interesting, even if you didn't, you can let us know. Just so I can, in the post meeting, the post show meeting, explain to Adrian that we will be doing this slot again, and no one is going to get rid of it. Do you want to finish on a positive story, Adrian?
I just want to finish.
Yeah, okay. Well, we will finish in just a moment. Thanks for your enthusiasm this morning. Much appreciated as always. We're heading to Scotland, bonny old Scotland, to Darvel. I have done some research on Darvel during the week because I hadn't been familiar with them. It was a David versus Goliath story in the Scottish Cup last weekend, I think it was, as Darvel, little old Darvel, 6th or 7th tier, I think. They're in the West of Scotland Premier Division. They're way down. They beat Aberdeen by 1-0. This was a result that has of course thrown the tenure of Waterford's Jim Goodwin at Aberdeen into a little bit of question. So he was already under pressure. They had a 5-0 defeat by Hearts at Tynecastle the week before. 1 win in 9 games. He's being defiant. He says he's the man to turn things around. But this result, when you're losing to a team like Darvel, I don't mean a team like Darvel, but they're clearly underdogs. They're going to play Falkirk in the competition's next round. Andy Robertson, Liverpool's Andy Robertson and Scotland's Andy Robertson, one of the people who tweeted their praise, a few clapping emojis on Twitter for the Darvel team. The team talk that he gave before the match in the dressing room to the Darvel players, you're thinking afterwards, of course it's going viral now because they ended up winning the match. We wouldn't have seen this footage otherwise. But BBC Sports Scotland tweeted it out, and the footage from the Darvel manager Mick Kennedy to the players before the game against Aberdeen would leave you believing in anything. You'll feel like wanting to go onto the pitch here yourself and watch this speech, and it will become apparent as to why Darvel went out and won the game.
The next 90 minutes will probably be the most important 90 minutes in your career. All right? I read up the day that the average man lives to about 77. Right? 40 million minutes in his life. All right? I'm asking you to give your absolute utmost for the next 90. 90 minutes out of 40 million. Right, that's all I'm asking for. So when that whistle goes, be prepared to give everything you've got for each other, for yourself, for your family. Be proud of what you achieved and be proud of what we're going to achieve. Because I promise you right now, we can win this. But it's about belief. That belief starts inside yourself, then it spreads through one another. But you must believe. People talk about underdogs. I'm telling you right now, we're no underdogs. I do not believe that. I've never believed it if the draw's been done. Because I know what's in this change room. I know what's in your hearts. I know when we're together, we can achieve it and we set our mind to it. But you've got to be hungry. You've got to have the desire in your belly. You've got to draw strength for the crowd. You've got to draw it for one another. When you need to find that extra yard, that extra bit of oxygen, then look around about you. Look to your brothers. Look to your family. Let's look to the next round. Let's go. Go on.
Do it for your family.
I'm ready to go. I must say, I watched that during the week and I thought he's going to walk into a job somewhere further up the leagues soon.
Because of this clip.
Well, because of the clip.
And the win, of course.
The way he communicated it was quite Brendan Rodgers-esque. Do you remember that Liverpool, you do it for your family?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that speech?
Character.
When he was at Liverpool. And because he's got such a strong Scottish accent, I think that's going to be the biggest thing in his favour.
It was fantastic. I was watching that clip yesterday and I nearly stood up out of my seat and said, I'm going to the gym and I'm going to do something. It would put you in a motivational type of mood.
Not saying that has won me over with the slot, but
getting there.
If we get more of that would have less bone marrow density analysing stuff and more of that'd be good.
One for the science. Just to finish off on a couple of the comments that have come in. Is it true Adrian's hero is the sommelier in the RDS? That's from Darrow O'Toole. Quite possibly, quite probably. Other people commenting on this as well. If Carlos Alberto was overaged, says Fergus Keogh, should all games he played in not be replayed? I'm not sure what you're getting at there, Fergus, but I do know. In fact, Des Crosdale, when I asked for comments, said, no point, you don't reply, boys. Des, how are you? How are things?
Owen Scully just before that.
Good morning. Owen Scully, load of Zs.
Yeah. Just sleeping emoji.
Adrian, your burner account on YouTube has clearly been busy. But yeah, no, I'm glad people
around the world over.
In.
Asks on a little bit later on.
No, forget about it. It's over now. But you know what, folks? It will be back. That was Around the World.